Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome here to Wellington, Colorado, where of course we do all of our range tests. And this is the Hummer EV Edition 1, where we will be running this thing at 70 miles an hour from full to absolute dead to see just how far it goes on a charge in our loop style range test. I'm first going to walk you through the Hummer and the testing procedures a little bit. I'm then actually going to set up our live stream. If you happen to catch one of these live streams, they're always on our Out of Spec Motoring channel, and so that'll be really fun. If you want to see every minute of this test, that'll be on there. And then we're going to, of course, run the test out into Nebraska, back through Wyoming, back here to northern Colorado, and see how far it goes. So the Hummer EV Edition 1, time to see how far it goes on a charge. And here it is. This thing absolutely rocks. I just have to say, for $108,000, I don't know how they give you this much truck. For weight to dollar ratio, that's got to be one of the best in the industry. Also, just for battery cost, you know, we're talking Rivian is a fully spec Rivian's only a few $1,000s less than this. And this has pretty much twice the battery pack size. I believe it's around 250 kilowatt hour gross battery pack capacity. I think about 212 usable. We're going to actually see that on this to see how much we can pull out of the battery pack, of course. And that's what's going to be really interesting. I've done some charging tests already. I've done some driving tests, and I have to admit, I love this thing. I really do. I have such a blast. It's such a conversation starter. I've been crab walking everywhere. I've been doing WTF, Watts to Freedom launches everywhere. It's just everything I love in a vehicle. It's excess, it's crazy. Of course it's not efficient. We're not talking about another Nissan Leaf, an attainable electric car. This is like, we're finally branching into the crazy EVs, and this thing rocks. There's a lot more you can do with electric than combustion when you start looking at what this thing's capable of. Now, in terms of practicality, I will do full reviews on this. It's really not that practical. It's just really a celebration of freedom, in my opinion, just to go all out, all crazy. But I think a lot of people buying the Hummer EVs, especially the Edition 1s, do want to know how far it goes on a charge. They want to know how well it charges. They want to see all of the typical tests that we are known for doing. So that's exactly what we're going to try out here today and see how it does. So let me walk you through the testing procedures, and yeah, I am actually really curious. I found the perfect day to do this as well. It's no secret winter is approaching, so we've been doing a lot of range tests recently because I've been trying to cram them in before the super cold weather, and then we can do our cold weather range tests. But this is going to be a nice day, almost 70 degrees, and we are in a complete wind pocket all day. I may not go as deep into Nebraska as I normally do, but as long as we start and end at the same point, loop around and drive at a consistent 70 miles an hour, we are good. And so the reason we do a loop style test is to counteract any wind and any elevation differences. So this is where we have to end up. This is the northernmost DC fast charging station that's online at the moment right now. And yep, this is where we have to make it back to. Okay, testing procedures. I already went to Starbucks, so I'm set and good. I got my strawberry acai. I also went to Discount Tire just before on the way over here. We set the pressures at 45 PSI front and rear. 3 PSI less than Rivian, actually, even though it weighs quite a bit. This thing weighs about 9,000 pounds. It's crazy, but it's honestly really fun to drive. It's like driving a video game simulator. Alyssa loves it. I love it. Everyone who gets in loves it. This is awesome. I still just can't believe the price. So we're going to DC charge the truck. I drove it around a bit this morning with battery preconditioning on. There's a manual battery preconditioning setting to warm up the battery. I plugged in at about 65% state of charge. We're going to charge it on DC all the way to full, because this actually is technically, well, it's technically both a 400 and 800 volt class of vehicle. It's about 350 volt nominal, maybe even under that normally when driving. And then when you plug it into a DC charger, you get a ka-chunk, and the battery goes to about 650 or 700 volts. So we should be able to get most of the 125 kilowatts out of this CPE 250 charger. We're going to take a look and see. But we're going to DC charge it all the way up to 100%. once it completes, we're gonna head out on the road and go. So let's take a look at our charging speeds, and what a day. Perfect day for a cruise in the Hummer. Wish I could pull the roof off, but as per testing procedure, I can't. I also pulled the spare tire out of the back, just in case you're curious. I always set the vehicles up in the most efficient settings. If enough of you are curious, I'll actually run it with the spare tire in there, or 2 spare tires if we can find another one. Just to see how much that impacts range and efficiency, but I don't think Hummer owners are that too concerned. You got a huge battery. I've been getting like 0.9 to 1 mile per kilowatt hour over my last 300 miles driving this thing. It's really not efficient. So a lot of you won't like that. A lot of you will think it's just crazy and hilarious. I think it's crazy and hilarious. So let's take a look at our charging speeds here. We are at 66% state of charge, and we're only doing 5 miles of range per hour. That's not good. The truck doesn't actually tell you kilowatts. We have to go over here to the charger to see, but we're only doing 2 kilowatts. 5? What the heck? This thing's been plugged in. Perhaps I'll move it over to one of those and top it up, because this is not good. And it says shared even though no one's plugged in. I've seen a lot of bugs happening on these ChargePoint chargers recently, these CPE 250s, and I've been very displeased with their performance. And this is weird. Why is the truck only getting 3 kilowatts? Okay, let's go plug it into a different one. All right, we've moved stations. We're plugged in. I actually don't like how this charge port's angled back a little bit. It works well if you're backing in, but a lot of stations are becoming pull-throughs, especially with towing into the future. Here we go, only getting 72 kilowatts. Should do a lot more than that, but better than nothing. I'm in no huge rush. Honestly, the longer we wait, the warmer it gets. So let's let this thing charge up to full. 70 kilowatts, man, this is gonna be like an hour or an hour and a half. What does it say? 1:35 p.m. it'll be done. Okay, well, these CPE 250s are having issues. I also tried this station and got the same as that with only a couple kilowatts. So this is the best we can do. And well, either way, let's let it charge up and won't affect our test much at all. Well, we are almost complete. We are at 98% state of charge. There's no percentage indicator here, but each one of these little lines indicates 1%. So I've seen Hummer EV complete at 98%. Some of our audience has said the same thing. So it's very possible, just like in GM fashion, if you full charge them, sometimes they complete a little early just because I imagine the pack voltage is up and there's a little BMS sway. We've seen it with Bolt before. We're gonna let it go till the charger kicks off. I've actually just kicked on climate control again just to help bleed the top of the pack in case it's looking for it, but not much longer left to go, and then we're going to hit the road. I want to say a huge thank you to Magna for sponsoring this video. Guys, every week I thought it'd be pretty cool to highlight a specific Magna innovation, and in this case I want to talk about seats. Now, seats may not sound that interesting, but Magna's actually developed a really cool technology called Freeform. Now, traditionally seat covers need to be stitched and sewed and hooked and looped in certain places whenever you want to tie down the material or have some sort of concave surface. But with a new innovation called Freeform, the material itself can actually be molded to whatever shape you'd like. For example, take a look at this diamond pattern. When have you ever seen a fully embossed diamond pattern with no stitching? It's crazy. It's going to lead to the next generation of interior materials. I've actually even had a chance to try this out. And what's even crazier is the seat structure was the same as the factory OE spec. Freeform allowed the entire seat to feel and mold differently than the original seat. It was really crazy. Take a look at my reaction here. Let's see how this all... Okay, totally different, first of all. But it's the same seat structure.
It's the guts of the seat the production seat.
Whoa, totally different. So a huge thank you to Magna for sponsoring this video. We'll have a full in-depth video with Magna seating specifically on Freeform coming to this channel very soon. I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. And we have just completed at 100% state of charge. We added 110 miles according to that. So let's, actually, we'll just shut the vehicle off momentarily so we have no drain as I unplug it. Again, no spare tire in this one. Oh yes, we are ready to go. That was a charge from, let's see, it cost $33 to charge it from 65% to 100. We added 74 kilowatt hours. Just insane. So closing here, time to reset everything, and we are heading out for the test. Perfect conditions, perfect day. Wow, 100% state of charge. You only get the percentage on the screen when the vehicle is off. So actually, crap, I got to reconnect the live stream and then we can go. So to get everything set up, we are going to go, of course, windows up. No auto window up. It has one touch down, but you have to hold to go up. Very interesting. We got the camera mirror on. We're going to go automatic on 68. I have fan speed set to low in the system, believe it or not. We have live stream going here. Energy use, we've zeroed it out, so we'll see how much we pull out of the pack. We're going to reset trip 1. And I've already confirmed, I love that it resets to 1.5 miles per kilowatt hour average. We are good to go. There are no different drive modes for efficiency. I'm gonna run the normal driving profile right there. Normal, that's the most efficient one we have. It's raising up to the normal ride height. We're gonna run standard ride height. You cannot run it in easy entry height. Everything's as efficient as we can get in the Hummer, which isn't saying too much. We're going to make sure the headlights are off, so lights are completely off on the outside of the vehicle, just for that extra watt hour of savings. And we are ready to go. Rear steer helping us out. I really love driving the Hummer EV because it's just so big, but it's so comfortable to drive. It's heavy, it's smooth. It's one of the best driving experiences because it's very video gamey. It's really cool, but just make sure you have a lot of room because in a tight area, it's certainly a little bit hard to maneuver. But with rear steer, I took it through the Starbucks drive-thru today with no major issue, but it makes that Bronco look tiny over there. So we are like full truck mode. We've already used 0.3 kilowatt hours just to get out of the parking lot. I'm running 70 degrees auto right now. We always run between 68 and 72, but GM systems always run a little bit colder than I like, so I tend to run it. We also have the regen paddle here on the steering wheel, but we actually aren't getting much regen fully charged. I can also run it in L, but I actually have regen set to high in drive, and I find that's a little bit smoother of an experience, and then I can pull the regen paddle if I want more. So we have Super Cruise on this as well. I'll be using it for as much of the drive as possible. It does automatic lane changes, the whole bit. So let's merge up onto I-25 as we head towards Cheyenne. Few of my snacks just fell over down there. And so gentle accelerations. By gentle, we're still doing over 100 kilowatt output. This is a heavy beast. And looking like quite a bit of traffic. Let's hope it's just a little patch, although there are a lot of cars around, but everyone tends to drive faster than 70. So here we are up to 70 miles an hour just before the end of the on-ramp. That's perfect. We're gonna lock it in, boom, at 70. We're gonna hit the Super Cruise button, and now we're super cruising, hands-free, eye tracking. And this is what we're gonna do. I have it set to 69 by accident. We need to go 70. There we go. I've selected 70, we're going 70. So great, should be an interesting one to see what it does. I have no idea what to expect. It's still predicting 329 miles, and see how this all plays out. You join us at the first check-in point, always on this stretch. We're just crossing into Wyoming, and I always say if we cross into Wyoming with more than 90% left in the pack, it's going to be a pretty big range. We're currently at 92% if I counted those squares correctly, and an average of 1.2 miles per kilowatt hour. But again, we always gain a little bit of elevation on that first part of the stretch, so let's not use that as a basis for efficiency quite yet. But definitely the lowest number I've seen ever on one of our range tests right about here. So yeah, gonna be cruising into Wyoming. Perfect day, 68 degrees and sunny. I think it just dropped down to 66, but either way, yep, there we go. Nice weather, and this thing should do a pretty great job. Super Cruise has been wonderful. Automatic lane changes. Basically, as we come across a slower vehicle, it will vibrate the left side of my seat. It will then move into the left lane, and then once we pass the vehicle, it will automatically vibrate the right side of my seat and move up to the right lane to get out of the passing lane with me not having to do anything. Wonderful system. I'll have a whole hogback driver assistance review of this thing. I expect it to do pretty well. As always, I'm going to give you updates at 75% state of charge, 50 and 25. Of course, the 0% when we end this test, but we're actually just ticked off of 75 to 74% state of charge. We've gone 84.4 miles and we're averaging 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Again, always the most efficient heading in this direction for the start. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when we start our return. But we're not going to go too far out into Nebraska because there is a little bit of wind about 30 miles ahead of us. So we're probably going to duck around a little bit early and noodle around on this I-80 between Cheyenne and halfway out into Nebraska and something like that. We'll just keep it going. But I want to avoid that big construction zone, the frontage road situation that we've done in a few videos in the past. And man, I got to tell you, super cruising in this thing is wonderful. There was just a stretch of road back there that didn't have road information. I wish there was a way that there was lane centering without road information, as long as I kept my hand on the wheel rather than using the eye tracking super cruise portion. But there's no fallback. There's no like lane centering without pre-mapping. And I think that's super cruise biggest fault, to be honest. The Hummer's loud, but comfortable, but you hear tire, wind, road, other vehicles. You hear it all in this thing. It is the opposite of the i7 I was just driving. But in terms of ride comfort and space and HVAC is really good. This roof, honestly, even with the sun being right out and bright, I'm trying to see if you can see it. Where is it? Somewhere over there. There you go. Even with the sun being bright outside, it's nice and bright, and just no issues at all there. So no heat coming through. Just cruising along. We've used 56.7 kilowatt hours so far. Nice. We are going to just take it off of 70 miles an hour right here. Super cruise, disengaging. That is, I've taken vehicle control. Thank you very much. We're actually just going to loop around here because there gets to be some construction up that way and actually a little bit more wind. So we're going to be doing a little bit more looping, more or less. It's amazing. We're getting over 30 kilowatt regen right here, and it feels like we're coasting. We basically are. I mean, this is just a heavy beast. So coming into the final, we're going to loop around and just kind of hang around on I-80, like I said, but this avoids some of the backups and construction up ahead. And really nice one pedal driving in the Hummer EV. If I need a bit more regen, again, I can pull right there. I've seen a peak of 400 kilowatt regen. 400 kilowatt regen in this thing. That's the most I've been able to get out of it. Just insane. It actually indicates 399, but let's just call it 400. Just insane. And let's just keep this test going. Gentle accelerations in this, just so we don't have too much heat loss. But honestly, I love the ludicrousness of this Hummer, and it actually gives you good data as well. So I'm very pleased with this entire truck, the entire drive, the entire situation, and seemingly we're going to be getting a pretty big number here on our range test. So let's get back up to speed and let's keep it going. We are heading back towards Nebraska from Wyoming. We are at exactly 50% state of charge right now. We have used 108 kilowatt hours during this drive. We've driven 155 miles. And we seem to just be leveling off at about 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Honestly, a little bit better than I was expecting. Conditions still looking good in the mid 60s. Very little wind. Couldn't be happier with them, honestly. And Super Cruise doing its thing. Speedometer's locked in. Live stream's having a creative chat. I'm eating some Starbursts. 50% update halfway through. It's going on and on and on. This is great. We're going to see a big number here, I think. Check it out, guys. We're about to cross into Wyoming, and I'm looking at Rivian Amazon vans. So sick. Looks like the tow rig broke down, or they were getting a photo by the Wyoming side. I'm not totally sure. But, pretty sweet to see that. That's awesome. And we are arriving at our last turnaround spot here at exit 8 in Bushnell. We have an 8% arrival to right near the charging station. I did not put in the exact charging station because I'm not totally sure if the Hummer EV preconditions with a charger when you select it, but I just didn't want to risk it. There is a manual preconditioning option that I've been using though, and that seems to definitely run the heating system. So we're just coming up here, making our last U-turn. We have about 83 miles till we get back to the start point, and then we'll loop around down there until we're completely out, grabbing that regen paddle for even more regen come to a stop. Right now we're looking at what I would call to be a Nebraskan traffic jam. So rear steer helping us turn there. That's awesome. And off we go into the sun as we head back into Wyoming and then into Colorado. We've done 189.3 miles, 0.4 miles there, and we're just sitting at 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour. So back onto the highway we go right here. And been seeing those Rivian Amazon vans, saw 2 truckloads full. Really just a beautiful day for this. Full turn straight into the sun. Oh boy, it's gonna be brutal. Windshield's covered in bugs from having a straight up and down windshield. Let's do this thing. I just wanted to point out that the sun has been absolutely extreme on this return, but Super Cruise has been working really well. And yep, we've used way more than a Rivian battery even has in it. Remember, we can only get 124 kilowatt hours out of the Rivian battery. Here we've gotten 20 more than that so far. And we still have that much more battery left to go. That just shows you how huge the battery pack is in this thing. There's no way this can be that good for the environment, but I'm just like, it's just crazy cool. But I don't think anyone buying a Hover EV should be like, oh, I'm driving an electric car, saving the planet. Welcome to a little bit down the road now. We are at 25% state of charge. Slight side wind starting to pick up here, but nothing major, not a huge deal. Still just sitting right at our same efficiency level. We are roughly at about 25% state of charge, maybe 26, somewhere around there, but 233 miles so far. Beautiful views. Should be dark by the time we finish up the test. This is the first test I'm running after the daylight savings time change. Temperature just dropped under 60, of course, with the sun going down, so great conditions, but it is going to start getting a little bit chillier as time goes on. But I would say we've only used 1.4 kilowatt hours to heat and cool this cabin this entire time. Really not much at all, so just going to keep on cruising. And you join us pretty much back at the starting position with a lot more battery arrival than what the truck originally told us. We're at 12%. It originally told us 9%. And temperatures are definitely dropping. We're at 51 degrees right now. So the majority of the test was in the mid to high 60s. But then as soon as the sun dropped, yep, temperature tanked. But what we're going to do is just run down. We still have, I don't know, 15% state of charge remaining, something like that. It's just held constant, 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour. You can even see this, take a look at this. Super Cruise is moving over for these guys coming on the on-ramps before they're even in our lane. I didn't touch anything. It just auto lane changed. It's such a smart system. I'm glad I was able to capture that on high quality camera. I showed the live stream guys that as well. This is one of the best driver assistance systems ever. I just wish it didn't require high definition mapping. Anyway, we're going to run down one exit, turn around, go north past the charger. I'll let you know when we come off the highway. And we are just approaching our final turnaround point. It is possible, depending on how good this thing does, we might actually go back past our exit one more, but the next exit after this is too far away. We would run out of juice. We're at 294.4 miles. We're still doing 70 miles an hour, still going to continue doing 70, just taking it off Super Cruise right here. And we're going to loop around, head back. It shows a 4% arrival into Wellington, but I'm kind of thinking it's a 12-mile round trip after we pass that exit on the highway. We'll see how it feels down there, but I'm thinking we might risk it for the biscuit. We'll see. Let's loop around and see what we decide to do. We are now again going past where we started. Similar consumption numbers, hasn't budged at all. 304.2 miles, but actually this thing's been doing better than I thought, and we're going for another loop. We're going the 12 miles from here. We're at about 5% state of charge, so easily I think we can make it the 6 miles down and the 6 miles back, and then we'll run it out on frontage road. So this thing doesn't want to die. It wants to keep going. We're going to keep doing it. We are cruising along at 70 miles an hour. We just got a warning, reduced acceleration, drive with care, and I'm trying to turn on cruise control and it says it's unavailable, so I'm going to have to manually drive and hold us at 70 miles an hour. So this is going to take some concentration here. So no cruise control below 6% state of charge. We are now at 5% state of charge, it looks like, but the truck's predicting a 0% arrival, so fingers crossed. We'll see how this thing does. We are on the return. This is wide open throttle with 4% remaining. It's going 65 miles an hour. It's only doing 41 kilowatt. Let me just hit it with a big spike of regen real quick. And now power output, yeah, much more power output for a brief period. And now it's dropping. So this is as fast as we can go right here. So we are at 3% state of charge, it looks like, and we can go barely 60 miles an hour. So this could get a little dicey. I'm gonna try and keep the momentum up best I can. But indicating 3% state of charge, we have pulled 210.8 kilowatt hours out of it. I don't know why it's indicating 3% if it's only 212 usable. Yeah, we might have to tow this thing with the Leaf. That would be hilarious. Good thumbnail, but I'm literally wide open throttle. It won't go any faster than this. I can't even be gentle on the pack because we're losing speed here. So fingers crossed we make it. We are down to 52 miles an hour as we crest this little hill. I'm still wide open throttle, only giving 29 kilowatt power output. The guys on the frontage road are going faster. Thankfully, there's no one behind us at the moment. I'm just gonna run hard throttle. There's nothing else I can do. I can't slow down to bring pack voltage back on up. 211.5 kilowatt hours we've drained. It's possible we won't make it. The charger's in sight. It's right up there. But the guys on the frontage road are going faster than us. And we're doing 51 miles an hour, pinned to the floor. We'll see what happens. 50 miles an hour now, only doing 24 kilowatt power output. I'm gonna exit navigation. We've used 212.2 kilowatt hours. I've shut off climate control just to try and make it there. I don't know if we're going to be able to. the exit's 1 mile. 1 mile to the exit. Come on, baby. We come down this road all the time to drain the battery, but we are losing speed quickly. I don't know. Might need to have a push. I hope we don't get stuck in the intersection. That would just be a total disaster. It's still indicating 2% state of charge though. Where you go? There you go. Still indicating 2%. I'm gonna go hazards on because we're only doing 45, 46. Come on, baby. You can do it, Hummer EV. I have faith. We can do this thing. 316 miles so far. I am full throttle. Man, how funny would it be if we have to tow it with the Leaf? 1 mile to the exit. There's the sign. And the live stream's missing out because we have no service here in this area. Also don't want to run out with no service. We have made it to the exit. Fingers crossed we don't get stuck on the hill. I'm keeping it floored. Hopefully we can make it up and over. Still indicating 2% state of charge, 213 kilowatt hours used. Man, I do not know if we'll be able to do this thing. We have a red light, so I'm gonna lift off, do a little regen, and hopefully we can regen and we have enough to get up and over the hill. Let's see if we can freaking make this thing. I'm trying to spike some energy back into this battery pack, even though the exit's on an uphill. All right, baby, don't die at the light and don't die where all this traffic is. We would just block all of the whole city if this thing dies here. That would be a disaster. All right, hope we make it. Let's hope it doesn't run out. Oh man. Come on, baby, we just need to crest the hill. Don't give me a red light, no! Big regen, just saw 70 kilowatt regen there. I think we're gonna be good, guys. I think we're gonna be good. It just doesn't love a constant draw. Of course, it seems like there's very little bottom buffer and the safety is there to protect the bottom voltage. So let's hope we can just cruise through. The chargers are right there. They're in sight. We're going for it. Come on, baby, you can do it, Hummer. You can do it, Hummer. It's funny, it's still indicating 2%, but I gotta tell you, this thing's given no power. We've pulled 213.2 kilowatt hours out of it. I mean, it's got quite a bit of juice right there, actually. It was doing it. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we do a little bit more driving at low speed? It just doesn't love the constant draw. Here we are pulling in. And we've pulled 213.2 kilowatt hours out of it. We're back at the charger, but it's really slow. I mean, that's hard throttle. Only wants to output that. Nice race trailer. Check this thing out. That is sick. Yep. So let's, I say we're not close to a major milestone with mileage, and it feels like it's totally dead. And I don't know why it's indicating 2%, but I think this charger was broken, so I got to go to a different one. Wow. Okay. There is no power. I'm sorry. This is the end of the test. I'm so surprised it's showing power available, like 2% state of charge, because this thing wouldn't even do 30 miles an hour. Okay. We're calling it a test. Here's how far it went. There's our efficiency. Crazy. And we pulled more power. Come on, go away. We pulled more power than what's rated as usable. Only 1% of it was for climate control. 1.8 kilowatt hours went to climate and battery conditioning. 211.6 went to driving and accessories. So this thing has more than 212 usable, and it's not totally fresh. It's got 2,500 miles on it. Anyway, let's plug it in. And we are plugged in, and let's see what happens here. It says charge cord connected, indicating 1 or 2%. Can't quite tell. I'm surprised it is. I got the truck to show 0% the other day, but it also was giving a lot more power down there. Not sending any power at the moment. There we go. Indicating 2% state of charge. We're gonna let it ramp up. It does this like really slow power and then it goes up. But I gotta tell you, I think the BMS is slightly confused because, yep, wouldn't go 30 miles an hour. So if you have a Hummer EV and you're just doing a constant draw on the battery, I wouldn't expect to run it to 0. I would say, 2 or 3% should be the lowest arrival you shoot for, which is still over 300 miles of range. So not the end of the world. And if you just want to go really slow, I guess you can drain it. But to me, I think we were dead because we pulled a kilowatt hour more than what's supposed to be usable out of this thing. So yeah, not sure where that 2% is coming from. We've seen on Bolt and other things that get confused. We've seen it complete at 98%. I've seen it from this. So I say we drained this thing to the core. I think it was completely out. Fans are just kicking on here. You can hear them going. Very impressive result. Headlights aren't doing their cool charging thing. Maybe if I shut the vehicle off, it will. But there you go. The Hummer EV range test. And there you go, the end of the Hummer EV range test, 218 point something miles I showed you there. That's very close to the 329 EPA and on the highway only. Now, Hummer also, GMC also offers, I believe, a bed cover for the back here, which should help with some efficiency. The thing is, the truck's really inefficient, 1.4 miles per kilowatt hour, brutal. But they put such a big battery in it. And if you can find high power charging stations, make sure to check out our charging review. I don't know if it's up yet or coming, but it actually charges really well. Over 360 kilowatts we've observed with Hummer EV, just insanely fast charging if you can find those stations, of course. Overall, very impressed. I did not expect it to go this far at all, especially on 35-inch all-terrain tires. That's insane. Honestly, I think if you just swapped road tires on this thing, you'd get an extra 40 or 50 miles, maybe more out of it. I think the tires really eat up most of the range, then the aero, and then lastly, the weight. Weight doesn't play much of a role on range tests unless you have big elevation changes, which we don't on our tests. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Let me know how you think the Hummer did. It went farther than the Rivian, and it went farther than the F-150 Lightning. So it is officially the longest range electric truck we've ever tested here on this channel. Thanks so much for watching. See you on another one soon. Bye-bye.